Hill Bays. Welcome to Healing Uncut.
This is a podcast about the messy side of healing.
Hey, Dream.
Hey, girl.
We are back, episode 2. Love
Yes,
it.
I'm your host, Dream.
And I'm Chrissy. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. So glad to be back.
So,
So, we're going to start with the check in because we want to practice being more in touch with our emotions. And we ultimately want to be emotionally intelligent because that's where we should be. That's something important on our healing journey. So, that's what we're going to start with today. And so we have an emotions wheel that we've already kind of went through and looked at and decided like how we feel today.
okay, Dream,
So,
tell us, how you feeling today?
okay. So today, like right now, in this moment, I feel happy. Just to break it down a little further, I would say I really feel like thankful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, honestly, well, the thing about emotions, they change. They could change
Absolutely.
every day. They could change in like in the moment. I can get a text from my ex-husband and I could go from happy to angry like real quick. So they can change. But right now I do actually feel happy and thankful. Um I just really feel like I have been faithful just knowing that God was gonna spin the block for me, and he like really has like
Yeah.
he's been coming around. Like I see him, you know what I'm saying, on the porch. I see him about to pull up. So I really feel thankful. So like that's where I'm at today. How you feeling?
I am content or satisfied. And what I mean by that is I too, I am very grateful. I'm grateful to be um, in this space with you, and in this space that I am in life. Just, I am grateful. God has blessed me with a lot, and sometimes we kind of feel, you know, trials and things are coming, but it's nice to just sit back and actually be like, Lord, I thank you. Like, I am good. So right now, I would say I am satisfied and content.
Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds good. So I guess you could say we are in a good space coming to you today for episode number 2. All right. So for today's episode, we just wanted to kind of give you some background information just about our journey. So as we go forward with these episodes, you'll kind of know like where we're coming from. So you can kind of get a full picture of what this journey looks like for both of us. So I have a question for you, and then I'll answer the question when you're done. But the question today is, what experience prompted you to begin your healing journey?
Okay. What
Mm-hmm.
experience have prompted me? So, um, it was like, I want to say 2018. I want to say it was 2018. I think I'm in my third year of teaching at this time. And I was at a rough school. We'll just leave it there. I was with my ghetto babies. And so behaviors were always a thing, to
Mm-hmm.
deal with. But at this one particular moment that I remember vividly, this little boy choked this girl out. Like I had to pull, like, use and mind you, these were third graders. I had
Mm-hmm.
to use some serious force to get him off her, like let her go.
All right.
And that incident, it triggered me so bad. Um, like, to the point I had a mild panic attack afterwards. Like, after, because the kids, they were heading down to specials. And so once we got them separated and like, the behavior text came and the kids were out in my classroom, like I really broke down. And it's just like, and it's like, well, that was my coach. You're like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, but what it did was cause me to have a flashback. And so,
Mm.
um, in my childhood, I dealt with some physical abuse, which also comes with mental and emotional. But it was seeing him choke her, like it took me to a place that I had forgot about, completely forgot about. Wasn't thinking about it. I had pushed that, like brushed that all the way under the rug and buried it deep somewhere. But that day, the way those emotions came out, it was just like, oh, this is not like this isn't normal for one. And like, what am I actually suppressing? And so it was that experience that was like, and it wasn't even me, it was my co-teacher, like, you may want to talk to somebody. And I was
Mm.
just like, I think I should talk to somebody because I'm freaking out. And I do want to like say like being like in our previous episode, we talked about being in survival mode. So as sensitive as I am, outward expressions of emotions, like I don't do that. I'm not crying in front of people. Like you're not going to see me being weak, but I could not hold it. I couldn't control it, like any of that. And so it was just like, yeah, something wrong because I'm the big dog and I don't be out here crying like that. Like things don't bother me. I'm going to get over it or, I'm going to get through it. But at that moment, it was just a lot. And so that incident brought up past experiences. And that's when I was just like, oh, I think I need to talk to somebody and figure this out. So that was the experience for me that really like, it was just like eye opening and scary at the same time. But, everything happens for a reason. And here we are now.
Look at you now.
La, la.
I definitely feel like, especially if you like been through trauma and your brain will like try to suppress the memory as a way of like protecting you or whatever. But then something happens, an experience, trigger, whatever the case is, and then all those emotions just come out of nowhere. Like, what the heck was that? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, like, you may have even forgotten about it, but it's like, oh, your brain ain't forget for real, for real. No, no, she didn't. Your body ain't forget. But that was really crazy. Especially, I'm like, I definitely relate to the being the big dog. Like, nah, I'm not about to be out here crying in front of y'all.
And not in front of
Like,
my coworkers at work. Absolutely not.
there, oh, nah, not that. Dang.
So, Dream, what's your experience? What happened?
So I was really thinking about it. So mine is definitely a little bit different. And I've mentioned this before. So for me, I knew like I went through a traumatic experience growing up, like very much aware of that. It always was in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't think about it all the time, but I knew it was there. You know what I'm saying? So, but it really took um watching Antoine Fisher. You ever seen that movie?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was that movie. Like I'm scared to watch it again. But I watched that movie. This is like after college. And I was already in a space of like just feeling definitely depressed because I'm like, dang, my friends are like getting their advanced degrees. They're like getting married. Some of them um just having kids. And I'm like, I'm not first of all, I'm not moving. I feel like I'm very much stagnant. Like I'm not used to not like succeeding, doing things, accomplishing things. I just felt like I was just there. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't surrounded by y'all either. So I was definitely not in a great space already. And then I watched that movie. That movie messed me up. But it also like reminded me like, oh, I need a therapist. Like, I gotta figure this out. Like, I got to, because I gotta get it out. Because I never really told anybody, like what happened to me, like growing up. Like the people who were closest to me, like I would tell like my story, but it was definitely like a handful of people. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like I went through, like you said, physical child abuse growing up, and it was really crazy, like real bad. Like people try to be like, oh, well, my parents used to do that. He used to beat me too. Nah, this ain't the same. Like very, very much not. So like, yeah, I went through that, and then I was adopted. So it's like I never met my dad. So I was definitely one of those kids, whose dad was non-existent. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was that. And like I didn't never live with my mom. So I just had a lot of things just like buried down that needed to be unpacked anyway. So watching that movie was definitely very triggering and let me know, oh, I need to sit down with somebody and get this out. I need to work through these emotions, and I need to release it, because right now I'm holding it and it's really like starting to affect me, especially because my mind isn't busy like I'm used to. In college, we were so busy doing things, you know what I'm saying? Just applying for scholarships,
And
just succeeding. Yeah,
yeah.
and just having fun, you know what I'm saying? So my brain was not thinking about no trauma until then. None of that stuff was going on. So all I had to do was sit with it, you know what I'm saying? So I think it was a combination of all of that. Let me know, like, one, you need to go to therapy. So
Mhm.
that was that. So I started the process of like actually sitting down with a therapist for the first time. And I would definitely say this is probably like about 2016, probably
Oh,
when this first happened. But it didn't last long. My first experience with a therapist, it didn't go like how I thought it was gonna go. So I just didn't go back. I was like, I know I need to go back, but I just wasn't feeling it, so I ain't go. And so then just kept going with life. But then I knew that before I had kids, like I wanted to figure out a lot of things. Like I wanted to just work through whatever I needed to work through, at the time before I had them. And then
yeah.
I ended up getting pregnant in 20. I ended up getting pregnant, honestly, that same year. They were born in 2017. So pregnant with them, I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant now. Like, I gotta fix myself before they get here. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of prompted me again, and like, you gotta find a therapist. So that's what happened. That was pretty much was for me, like just knowing like I'm a mom, and like it was scary for me because it was like I don't have an attachment to like no mother figure or no father figure. Like I don't even know what that feels like. I think that was like the scariest thing. I'm like, I don't really know what that feels like to be like, yeah, the what that love is supposed to feel like. I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you, like I can't. And I'm like, yeah, I could go through life and say, yeah, I love you, but I'm like, it's not a feeling associated with it. It's just me saying it. Well, I see what it's supposed to look like, but I'm like, I don't think I can do that with my kids. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh yeah. So it was just me just knowing that I didn't want that for them, and I didn't want it to be like awkward. You know what I'm saying when they got here? So I'm like, I gotta kind of do that. So that's kind of what like planted the seed,
Yeah.
and I got really serious about it. Like once they were born, like trying to find a therapist, figuring out what type of therapy did I need. Like I'm like, I need something specialized. I need to go to a trauma therapist, somebody that's trained in what I've gone through that could really like help me figure this out. So that was pretty much what kind of got me started. And then school too,
Mm.
just understanding that I needed to be a therapist, which was so crazy because I always thought I was gonna be a doctor, like we all did. Everybody in DHG I was gonna be doctors, but yes. So I think even that, starting the classes and like reading, the textbooks and having the assignments, just continued to help me like think about my life.
Mhm.
So that's when I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening. yeah, like I gotta figure this out. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got started. It
That's
was.
so interesting. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's so interesting because working as an educator and just seeing those children in that setting is like, I'm like, oh my God, this is definitely generational.
Hmm.
I'm like, how are you 7 years old, 8 years old, coming to me like this as a teacher? That's because something's happening at home. So that really just like opened my heart. Like, I got to figure this out, not only for me, but for my students, because they are going through it. Like their parents are going through it and they don't even know. They're just going through the motions, living day to day. And I'm like, no, it's something deeper than that. Like, how can we get to the root of it? Like, what do we need to do to close this gap? Like, there's a reason we're having so many behavior problems in school.
Hmm.
It's not what's the cause, what's the root cause of it, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, a lot of people I'm like, a lot of people
Hmm.
are so quick to label our kids, and it's like, no, like we don't need to be labeled. We don't need an IEP. We don't need a 504 plan. We need therapy. Like,
Right, look, this is the label right here on your shirt, not mine, on yours.
yeah,
Trauma.
trauma,
That's
like
it right there. That is it. Yeah, that's so crazy too that you
we are
mentioned that.
experiencing trauma on a daily basis. And so that's so between my own issues and then being a teacher in a classroom and seeing like this is continually happening. This is continually happening. And it's only a blessing that I was able to get out and, make something of myself, but they may not get that chance. Like they truly may not get that chance. So it was like, I need to do this for myself and then I need to do this for them. Like, gotta help the babies out.
Right. That's real. I'm like, what's crazy about it, I'm like, I was a teacher. Honestly, around the same time I watched Antoine Fisher, I was teaching. And that was the same thing, that pretty much the same like scenario with the kids and seeing how they were. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be teaching them biology, and these kids, their brain is somewhere else. I don't know where it's at, but it ain't inside this classroom. Like trying to talk about no DNA and amoebas. Like that ain't it. I'm like, like they got some stuff going on, and that was really hurtful. I was like, yeah, like they was having mental breakdowns and everything, and I'm just like, that hurt me. I was like, oh my lord,
Mhm.
like honestly, that probably that's really what made me think like these kids need therapy, one, and I need to go to school for therapy because this ain't it. Me trying to be a teacher, this ain't working. This gonna stress me out. Trying to be like up here teaching y'all, and y'all got everything else, and then we talk to their parents, and their parents don't have no solutions. So I'm just like, oh wow,
Yeah,
we need some other type of help,
yeah.
and it ain't for the teachers. Shout out to everywhere, especially the
Everywhere.
ones in the Title I schools. Look, we've been there, definitely been there. So you are appreciated, but yeah, so just a lot of trauma, and it's definitely deeper when we start thinking about like mother issues and like daddy issues. And
Yeah.
like for me, I have issues with like abandonment real bad. It's gotten better, like with therapy,
Mhm.
but definitely attachment. That's definitely my biggest thing. Like takeaway was,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for all our listeners, all our healed bays, like we want to encourage you to really look within yourself, like dig deep and figure out like what has you broken, what has you stuck, like are you in neutral? Like really think about like what's going on internally. Are you completely satisfied with how you're showing up every day? Um, how are you, you know, how you present yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Like, Is it positive self-talk? Is it negative self-talk? Like, really get to the bottom of what it is that you're dealing with. That's a great place to start, right?
And then think about the people around you that you trust and you know have your best interest in mind. Listen to what they're saying. You know, they're saying like, "Why are you always angry?" Or you know, this whatever they're saying, or like you tripping, or why are you doing that, or you know what I'm saying? Kind of listen, especially if it's like I said, somebody who you trust and you feel definitely has your best interest in mind. You know what I'm saying? Just pay more attention, and honestly, just think about your childhood. Like think about anything that may have happened, any experience that you know that one is still engraved in your mind and that brings you pain when you think about it.
Mhm.
Because that could be like where you need to start, like on your journey. Because those same like emotions or lack of emotions and feelings is probably like still showing up, or the way that you do show up in your relationships is because of whatever happened. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, definitely, I would say go back to your childhood and just start analyzing it. Start there, and it'll definitely give you like a direction on kind of where you should go. You know, when you start the journey. So yeah.
I um before we dismiss, I do want to leave with a scripture. It's Isaiah 43, verse 2. It says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the water and through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned or scorched, nor will the flame kindle upon you." And so in this healing journey you are going to go through, this human life you're
Mm.
going to go through, it's inevitable, but God says that healing is the children's bread, and so we can overcome it, we can come out of it, and we can become better. And just know, like, so no matter what you're going through, you will get through it. You definitely will get through it. And we're here, and I hope that you have a supportive village of other people to lean on, but definitely lean on him because he will never leave.
Mm. Right. Hey man, that was good. That makes me feel really good. Like
Yeah.
you already knew that. It's like, thank you, Lord, just for the reminder. Like, I'm gonna go through this fire, but I'm gonna come out on the other end. I ain't even gonna smell like smoke. And I'm gonna just be so just grateful. Like it's definitely not his will for us to be angry and to just be living a life with the filled with the effects of trauma. That is not his will for us. So if
Absolutely.
you feel like you're in a situation to where that's how you feel, that is not from God. Like that struggle love, that is not from God. Like
Mm-mm.
I can 100%, 1,000% promise you that is not from God.
1,000% sure, Maury.
Right? Okay. Like no. Mm-mm. Absolutely not. I learned that a few years ago. Like if it's from God, is gonna come with no struggles associated with it. Like nah, not like that. Like life, it does life, but it's a difference. If
There's
you forcing it, that ain't from God. Uh-uh.
that person is probably shit. Ain't that that's what they say?
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna leave you with that. Just ponder on that until the next episode. Look at my shirt.
Mary,
Mary.
healing, and that's what we want to do. We're gonna keep healing out loud. We're gonna keep healing in love. We love y'all, and until next time.